DC actually has to make you like some new characters. They have to see what sticks. Like they can't run the Marvel route. They are the GoBots to. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. To Marvel's Transformers.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Here's Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris. With me today, I have a wonderful crew of Mike, Keith, and James, and we're here to talk about entertainment, culture, and whatever the hell we feel like. How are you guys doing today? What's up? What are we excited about? Oh, it's here. Oh, okay. I wrote down a couple of things that
Ben
happened.
Simmons, and Elon Musk.
Tell me what you. Ben Simmons. I was just gonna say, like, the Nets get swept. Like, that's big news. But also, like, there's a fucking war going on. That seems to be pretty big news, but nobody's like, we stopped talking
CNN
about
didn't.
that. Seriously.
Yeah.
Nah, the cats probably.
I saw they were parading the Secretary of Defense yesterday.
Still talk about it.
My Raptors are still alive. I'm happy about that. They're gonna pull off their great comeback.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that was a y'all out there fighting.
They're gonna be at home tomorrow, so
As we switch back to sports.
Yeah.
There goes your war. It's in Toronto against Philly.
That's right. It still sucks out there. They bombed that town, Mariupol. Like they just the reporters were just saying it's nothing. There is nothing left to actually demolish.
Nothing left. But we're still sending weapons.
So the latest today is Putin is cutting off the gas supply to Poland, which I think is going to bite him in the foot more than it will affect Poland.
All of this is because the world is going to make sure that Poland gets the gas that it needs.
Well,
now it's never coming back.
Exactly.
So like you dummy.
Yeah, because if you can replace what's been taken away,
worst case
that's
scenario
for you.
That's
for him.
dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just left it as is and keep getting your damn money.
That was basically the one bargaining chip you had left.
Oh, yeah.
Is that like, I've got all your supplies of gas?
I heard 2 oligarchs were found dead on the news.
Yeah, I don't know if was it the oligarchs or the oligarchs' families.
Oh,
are we talking about Bezos and Elon Musk? Those are the only oligarchs I care about right now.
No, Russian.
Nah, cats are turning on Putin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's getting tight for them, and like cats are like really kind of like pressuring Putin. Like I think he out there setting some, making some examples. Don't quote me.
Hit squad.
The question is, how many people can you kill?
I don't think Putin cares.
He's probably okay with taking out all of them. But at what point do you start losing? Like, shit, everybody fucking dead. Like
they were saying it.
The news gets reported.
Well, he needs to start worrying when the chain gets to him down the line of who they're killing, right? Because eventually he's on that list. So
when the military starts looking at
Yeah, and our own local oligarch Elon Musk decided to have a midlife crisis and buy Twitter for $44 billion. Midlife crisis, man.
Luther.
Yeah, that man, like, Twitter board was like, no, we definitely don't want that. Oh, wait.
I'm just going to laugh when
44?
At all the banks that lend him this money to do this, when that shit goes belly up.
It's not going to go belly up.
Oh, they've been losing. Twitter's been losing money for a long time. You don't know.
Yeah, because they haven't been finding a way to capitalize on the audiences they have. They don't There's no advertisements on Twitter.
Oh, there are.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there are.
I mean, there are, but like nothing that's invasive enough for them to charge the money that.
No, it's not like
Facebook does.
Yeah, you're right. It's not like Facebook at all or Insta. Right.
Yeah, like, and definitely you can't get cats to pay for this free product now.
Yeah, it's just an odd financial purchase, but
not odd if it's
technology-wise,
what's the plan then?
Communication.
That's what I'm curious.
Communications-wise,
Neuralink. Look it up.
Communications control.
Yeah, there is a
Twitter's not the platform for that.
No. Like, if you want to control messaging and broadcasting, like, yeah, like something like Twitter, it's still a valuable tool.
It is valuable, but it's not as valuable as Bezos buying Wall Street Journal. Washington Post, or Murdoch owning Fox News.
You'll see.
I feel you.
Murdoch's is a lot more.
Those
than
aren't
the
for
Washington
sale.
Post.
Oh, but I'm sure he could have bought some kind of broadcasting company.
Those aren't for sale. And that very well may not be the audience that he's going at.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Right now, I think it's just a toy that he's going to play with until he's bored.
That's a very expensive
toy. Yeah, well, and that's why I say I'm going to laugh at the banks when they start losing money on this thing.
Hey.
So.
Well, speaking of losing money, apparently Sony has decided that their next project is supposed to be El Muerto, which is a Spider-Man villain that's appeared in a total of 2 comic books, starring none other than Bad Bunny.
That's a miscalculation.
What sense this makes is absolutely zero.
And South American populace, but they're going
for
the
it.
wrong way.
Make it good.
Don't they
make it good?
Oh, I was gonna say, they have
it's gonna be
other options, but it's
Keith, so good luck with that.
Okay.
Yeah, Sony has not proven to me that their superhero capabilities outside of animation in their live action superhero properties
It's going to be 2 hours on the anti-villain playbook for these movies. 2 villains on why we need to like this guy.
Except for he's bilingual.
Yeah. And this is the product.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
And this is the product that we'll get from DC. That's what we're like. Like, give me some random character.
Well, he's not even going to be first,
movie.
right?
Just give me a random character movie.
Because Blue Beetle.
There you go.
Blue Beetle
Robbie Reyes is supposed
to
hit.
a D-list character that has actual run.
Well, DC.
Yeah, but they won't even get the first Hispanic superhero movie out, right? Unless they're rushing this thing. Or, well, of course, DC could just flail about and forget what they were doing.
Yeah, but I'm with you, Chris. They should have just... Miles Morales was the way to go, and they're screwing the pooch on this one.
Yep. You have established IP.
Yep.
You have dude, the animated movie makes so much.
People would have flocked.
So then you say you make a live action one of that.
Yes.
Well, what you need...
Different story, though.
My choice here is that you need a character to a Spider-Man to center that universe around, and they refuse to put a Spider-Man.
You are dead set and having centers of
you have to have it. You can't have a Batman universe without Batman. You can't have a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man.
Not necessarily that you can't. It's like they're DC's main characters. The main characters that they're known for are just too ingrained in our whole psyche and culture. Batman, Superman, that's DC. It's you're not centering no universe around nobody and have me not think about those cats. That's DC.
Mm-hmm.
There's a billion Batman movies. There's a billion Superman movies. Those are the products that I know of DC.
There's only 3 Superman movies.
Look, Sony has
we don't talk
tried.
About the 3 and the others that go unspoken.
Yeah.
And the TV, but Superman has 5 television series
and cartoons and pajamas and lunch boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the culture.
Right, exactly.
That's what, like, they have to put these characters out to see what sticks, because like what Marvel has is, like, Marvel has all of the X-Men. We all know all of the X-Men. Marvel has Fantastic Four. We all know Fantastic Four. Like, so, like,
Actually, that's a funny one because I don't think Fantastic Four is as part of the culture
It
as
used to be, but since they
as
kind of
others
It
have
used to
I'm
be
been,
not
part of
saying
even
it.
though they're
you might not know the story in
historically.
detail, but you know Fantastic
right, you know who they
Four.
are, yeah, and
You
you
know
know
who the
Doctor Doom.
Fantastic Four
I
are. If I
guess,
randomly
yeah,
said
yeah,
somebody,
Dude,
like,
yeah.
you know
the
the Fantastic
term
Four,
Fantastic Four is in our lexicon. Fantastic Four in
It's
any
but
game.
here's the
yes, like,
problem
and
is
that's where it comes from.
we have a sour taste.
And that's literally where
There's
it
a
comes
sour
from.
taste when you mention that name because of what Fox Studios did to Fantastic Four, right?
Oh, I'm not talking about the product that they put out. I'm talking about, like, all the products have to do is just meet our imagination expectations for
Right.
Marvel. That's it. DC actually has to make you
Right.
like some new characters. They have to see what sticks. Like, they can't run the Marvel route. They
You're right.
they are they are the GoBots to,
That's
and I said it
terrible.
before and I'll say it again, to Marvel's Transformers.
Yes,
Like,
go
it's just
Bucks,
like, the GoBots were out before the
go
Transformers,
Bucks.
actually, but it's just like
That's true.
you don't, your product didn't have sticking power.
Yeah, well, so hang on, just real quick. I just want to
Okay,
say,
speaking of,
so
Oh,
yeah,
you got to
sorry,
go
go
in a
ahead,
we've
Mike.
different
got
route.
Kamala Khan coming to Marvel. You know, our first our Muslim superhero, and then we've got America Chavez coming to Doctor Strange 2 next week. So, but I wouldn't, I don't know if we call those main heroes though, right?
They're not
Yeah,
Well,
on a
Kamala
TV
but then
Khan will
show.
she's
be a
going to be
main
a
hero,
sidekick
and
in the
on,
Marvel sequel, Captain Marvel sequel. So
Yes.
right. But so
Psychic.
you've
Psychic.
got Captain Marvel and Spectrum and
yeah,
Miss Marvel, and I don't know. We'll have to see if they ever get around to making a Young Avengers or any of these group team ups where you'll start to see those characters move up to the big leagues in the theaters, get more of a role. I'll be interested to see how much space America Chavez has in the
right.
Cap Doctor Strange movie. Like how side of a character is she? Rhodey side character, which he got a well, Rhodey got quite a bit in the first and second Iron Man, but or is he like, I don't know who got a lot less. Falcon
No,
got
Falcon's
like
not.
one good one before he. I mean, they've gotten decent sidekick
Mm,
characters that have done some good job. Has gotten
Like, what's her
some good
name?
screen
Meow Meow
time,
and
but
Thor
like,
2 and Thor.
yeah.
oh yeah, Mercy, not Mercy,
Darcy, yeah.
Mercy, Darcy, Darcy. Is she more of a Darcy or is she more
Yeah.
of a Falcon or something like that? All right, last one before we go into the next block. And speaking of giant IPs known around the world, and yet somehow has never had a major motion picture in her name, Barbie is coming to the big screen. Now you may look at it and
Yeah,
go, "Oh my god!"
exactly.
But honestly, why hasn't there already been a dozen Barbie movies? It's a giant IP known around the world, one of those
I
popular
think it's kind of tough to
kids'
write.
toys
You know
of
how
all
the
time.
Lego movies became popular? Lego toys that had, non-known characters, and then they used all of their tertiary characters, DC and whatnot, and it made it a fun movie. I don't think Barbie has that kind of catalog or library. It's Ken,
No,
Barbie,
Barbie has the
Black
same
Yeah,
Barbie,
amount of
Barbie
Bad
has a lot
openness.
Barbie.
of, like, diversity, but, like,
Who's the other guy other than Ken?
Ken,
yeah, I could
I don't
see
know,
I don't know their
A
names.
Barbie
but
movie
Barbie
could
can
have
do
been
and be
made,
anything.
definitely. A Barbie cartoon movie at least could have been made.
They have tons of animated
Oh, the
versions. Yeah.
cartoon. They have cartoons.
No.
Honestly, one of the funniest cartoons I watched with my daughter was the Day and Barbie cartoon. That shit, great writing on that thing. That thing was funny. But honestly, like they can do a lot with this character, and the movies the kids animated movies that they made all were like themed, like the ballerina Barbie movie and the princess Barbie movie and the blah blah blah. Like I'm interested to see what they're gonna make as a live
Yeah, that's
action
gonna be very
Barbie
theme
movie. Is it
heavy.
going to
It has to be the
be?
right theme, especially in our current
Yeah, is it
generation
gonna,
of
you know,
women
is it gonna
empowerment.
be straight comedy? Is it gonna be more serious? You know what I mean?
It's gotta be a lesson. Barbie teaches us a lesson about.
I don't know. It's Margot Robbie. Like I trust Margot
Well,
Robbie.
she can
She's a
bring the
great
comedy if
actress
that's
and
what
You know
they
what?
she's in
want
great
to do,
great
right?
material.
So
So
They need to get Dave Chappelle to be on this. That would be yes.
wow.
on
That would
Barbie,
be perfect.
okay, you can go that way.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle on the Barbie movie. Sure, why not? All right.
Introducing
So,
crackhead Barbie.
all right, when we come back, I'm going to
Stop
be
it. Cameron Biggs and Barbie.
all right. I will be doing a interview with writer producer Amanda Overton, and then after that, we will be doing a review of Severance, which she was a writer producer on.
Good
So
job by you,
see if
Chris.
that all fits together. Uh, Welcome back, everybody. With us today, I've got a wonderful guest here for an interview. It's Amanda Overton, the executive story editor and writer for Arcane, the Netflix animated drama series, and producer and writer for Apple TV's Severance, the sci-fi mystery drama that we're going to be reviewing in C Block. And everybody, well, please welcome Amanda Overton. How you doing today, Amanda?
I'm doing great.
So Amanda is the executive story editor and writer for my single A plus of all time show Arcane, the Netflix animated action drama series, and the producer and writer for the brand new Apple TV Plus series Severance, which we'll be reviewing on the podcast this coming week. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's a sci-fi mystery thriller. Go watch it. It's a great series. You'll hear our review later this week. Um, so I got a bunch of questions for you, Amanda. They're mostly going to be about your work and stuff like that. We'll do a few. I know if like Arcane fans come on, they're gonna want to hear about like all the nitty gritty, but I'm not gonna get too far into that. We're gonna just mostly deal with how awesome you are as a writer. Okay, sound good?
Oh, that's fun.
Um, so just can you give our listeners a little background story of yourself? Did you go to school for writing? How long have you been doing this professionally, et cetera, et cetera?
I actually went to school for genetics.
Wow! Oh wow!
Yeah, which is it's a big surprise to everybody that I now work in TV. But I studied molecular biology in undergrad and worked in labs for genetics labs for a couple of years, and decided that that wasn't what I wanted to do with my life, and ended up going to grad school for film and television. So
Well, that's
uh,
great.
that's sort of the start of it all. I worked in high school. I worked in a movie theater. I've kind of always loved telling stories. I think as a geneticist, I wanted to know like why we are the way we are, from a gene perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I think I do the same thing when I tell stories. I'm always trying to figure out why we are the way we are. It's just from like a more macro kind of cultural human perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the funniest, the coolest things about something like The Simpsons is they're all mathematicians and they're all, you know, when really smart people take the time to tell a story, I think you get a lot more out of it than just us schlubs. Just
Well, it's just a different perspective too. I think I come
hmm
at storytelling from yeah, I have like a math brain. It's very logical.
hmm
I think of things in terms of structure a lot and how to structure a story. And then once I like build the bones of a house, then like my creative brain feels much more free to just, explore things. But I need the structure first before I can kind of have fun with my creative side.
So you've carried a bunch of different titles, as I said. You're a writer and a producer, and all of these different things on these different shows. What's the difference in these different positions? Like, what does it mean to be a story writer versus a writer on a television
Well,
series?
it's actually the same word for different stuff. I mean, it's different word for the same stuff. I'm just a writer on the show. I work in the writer's room. The different titles correspond to different levels, and you kind of move up the more experience you get. So, you start out as a staff writer, you move up to story editor, executive story editor, co-producer, producer, supervising producer, co-executive producer. That's just the way you go up. Um, and as you progress up, usually you take on more producer responsibilities. But it depends on the room too. So, for example, on Arcane, I was kind of promoted halfway through to co-producer, and because in the season 2 room, I was helping to produce some of the producing on the season 1 stuff, giving notes on, so as the season 1 stuff was coming together. So they ended up promoting me partway through. They also promoted me on season 2 because I ended up running the season 2 room, and then ended up taking on a
Ah,
lot of producer stuff in the second season. So now I'm a co-executive producer for season 2 of Arcane, which will be fun. But so that's kind of a little bit. It worked a little different on Severance, and also a little different because of the pandemic circumstances.
right.
Like Severance was set to. I worked on that in 2019, by the way, and
Wow. Okay.
it was set to start shooting in March of 2020.
Hmm.
So we can all guess what happened. It got delayed. They, they actually took an episode away. We had 10 episodes written, and they took it down to 9.
Wow.
And so things got kind of restructured and moved around a bit to accommodate. And all of that happened without my involvement. And then normally writers are allowed to be on set to supervise their episode, but because of the pandemic, again, not allowed to happen. So I know a lot about what happened in the writer's room of Severance season 1, but some of what happened on the show was a big surprise to me as well, because I wasn't involved in the production part of that show.
Oh, that'll come into my questions later about when we get specifics about Severance. um, so this is a big collaboration, not only in the white writers' room with directors and actors and stuff like that. Did you ever get in and talk to anybody? I know the pandemic screws everything up, and you said that you usually get to be on set for your episode. Did you get at other points, and maybe with Arcane, did you get to talk to any voice actors or the director, or any other teams that you can go? Well, what I was trying to say with this note is blah blah blah, or vice versa.
Exactly. So that when you start taking on more of a producer role, that's exactly what you do as a writer. So one of the first things that a writer does when they sit down with the director of their episode is called a tone meeting. And so what that is you go through every scene of your script together with the director, and you talk about what is your intention for this scene. What is the intention of the characters, what is the tone you were looking for, you spitball ideas, and then they know that because a lot of it is in subtext, you hope, if the writing is good. But now this is the time to talk about, well, what is the actual text, what is the actual intent that you want for this scene to be, so that they can keep that in mind while they're doing the blocking, while they're directing the actors. In voice acting, there's actually the director that directs the actors, and then there's the directors that do the animatics and do actually the shots and stuff, and so they're different. In live action, it's just one director.
So many so many titles that you just don't know exactly as a fan who to go, wow, that person is awesome. Because you see so much.
Everybody is awesome. I'm telling
Right,
you,
yeah.
everybody poured their heart and soul into both of these shows.
We can
But
tell,
yes,
we can tell.
yes. And for the season 2, I was in most of the records. I was in, and one of the things that's really special about Arcane is you actually do a lot of writing with the directors
Hmm,
in the animatics process as well. So we
okay.
have the luxury of having more time than most animated shows. So, they get to do they added so much of their vision to our intent in the animatic process. One of my favorite examples from season 1 is we had written this whole sort of sequence for Echo and how the firelights came about at the beginning of episode 7, and they're like,
I was
we're just
wondering
gonna do
how much of
we're
there
just
there
gonna
was
do
of
a
that.
music video and we're gonna explain all that and with like some feelings. And it's amazing, and you totally get the vibe really
Oh yeah.
well, but it's just nothing. It's nothing about the story that we did. And they did the same thing in that same episode with the Jinx Echo fight, where
Right.
we had these intents in there about what their fight was like and how it was mimicking something of their childhood. And they just took that and ran with those visuals like I could never imagine in a million years. And it's my favorite fight scene in the whole show. So
Now, if I jump off script for a second, I'm going to ask you: did being a part of something like that make you kind of rethink some possible story structure that you could use in the future? Like going,
oh,
wow, this is
100%.
so
Yeah.
interesting that the visuals of Jinx and Echo and seeing their past and their presence, and it tells so much, and it was fascinating to watch. And yeah,
our
sorry.
our process on season 1 completely informed how we did season 2. Like we even write the scripts differently now because we know like, oh, this is a moment where we're gonna let Fortiche do their thing in a montage, but this is the intent and stuff. So we kind of like, now we've sort of built places into the script where we can give them more freedom to use their visuals, and still fit within the storytelling.
Oh, that's awesome. So doing a little more specifics on Arcane here. So Arcane is in a universe, a video game universe, Runeterra, and it had lots of little blurbs and writings and stuff like that about characters, which are very in video game. Characters tend to have very generic backgrounds and things like that. Um, did the studio like know where they wanted this? This is very different. Arcane is very different from a lot of the blurbs and stuff. Did they give you a lot of like just leeway, just make something cool, or was there something more specific that they were looking for?
Yeah, I mean, this Arcane is so unique in the sense that Riot funded it in house, and when I joined on 3.5 years ago now on the project, God, probably even longer now. Uh, when I first joined on back in the day, um, they were just making it in house, and they'd already been working on it for 3 years. They had the pilot already done. And they had sort of an idea of kind of where they wanted the story to go and some of the characters and things. But they had hired, a bunch of TV writers, and I was one of them, in order to help kind of write those scripts and tell that story. And so they, Riot didn't tell us what to do. It was really Christian and Alex who had this idea. They love this world. They love these characters, and they love video games. Obviously, they've been working at Riot since there was 40 people at the company, both of them, and so and they love video games as much as I love video games, as much as anyone working on this show. And we just wanted to do a good video game adaptation.
Which has not
And
been
they
an
wanted
easy
to do the
task, we've
fans
seen.
justice. So we got no mandate other than do what you want to see. So it was a lot of freedom, and I think the nicest part about our collaboration was Christian and Alex are such experts in the League of Legends lore. Alex created a bunch of the champions, wrote their backstories and histories, so like anytime I needed an Easter egg or a cool moment, or I was like, hey guys, like tell me something about this that we can use here. But I also didn't know anything about League when I joined.
Right.
I love video games, but I had never played League of Legends before. And so I got to be sort of like that voice of like, hey, this, if we want this to appeal to other people who don't know League, like maybe we should clarify this more, or maybe we should
Right.
this shit doesn't make sense, you guys. Like let's make this make sense for everybody. So I think our having those two perspectives, the internal and the external, we were united in our passion for video
Mm-hmm.
games, but had different perspectives enough to make a story that was for both fans of League and
Right.
people who had never played League before.
All right. So a couple of specific, just watching it, loving it, and so Jinx, obviously, pretty much the main character here. She in her actions just spread and combined the two worlds in Arcane. How did you go
We have
about?
a running joke that the inciting incident for both we called it pre and post, like the prequel
Mm-hmm,
Axelin,
mm-hmm,
and then the post was like,
right.
oh, if you want to have an inciting incident, Jinx just steals a crystal.
it's it's amazing how simple of an idea it is, and I think what I loved watching it was how, even though those two worlds almost never specifically interact, everything they do affects each character. You can actually point to exactly where each each person's action can affect other people they've never met or never interacted with, and it's just great storytelling, top to bottom. How did you go about making a character like that not a generic, oh, she's a crazy girl? I mean, there are a lot of those characters out there in the world, but I thought the building of her trauma and her actions and the visuals of seeing what's going on, how did you build that character without just making her generic? You know what I mean?
I think we had like sort of two guiding principles. But the first one was that really getting to spend time with Powder in Act One, because Powder, you get to see her before the trauma that made her Jinx. You get to see her as a child and the love she has for her sister, and sort of the seeds that could become Jinx when, if one thing happens, which you see in our show, but maybe wouldn't become Jinx if that thing never happened. Um, so, and I think we always had Powder in Jinx for this whole season. We're like, Powder that we all met, in Act One is always alive inside Jinx. She can still at times still access those feelings and still be vulnerable, and still she still wants to connect with people the way Powder wanted to connect with people. But she has this flaw that her trauma has caused arrested development. So, we always were treating her like, oh, she emotionally is stunted in that way, so that she is still a child. So, her interactions with Silco, all of that, it's uncomfortable because it's childlike and she's an adult.
Okay. Now, I noticed, obviously, everybody noticed here, Jinx and Vi never fight, even though the opening cinematic has them punching at each other. But every time they got near each other, Vi just wanted to hug the hell out of her sister, bring back her little baby sister. And was there ever a time where the climax was more of a generic punch 'em up? Or was this always like a decision of these, they don't want to fight each other, they're missing each other? Like, where did that idea originate, or was it always there?
So what you see on screen in season one was always there.
Mm-hmm.
That dynamic between them. But we did have our episode 9 that you guys all saw as episode 9 used to be our episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a whole new
Oh,
end
interesting.
to the season 1
Wow. Oh,
that we had planned for from the
right.
beginning, which I can't go into too
Right.
much because we ended up, and one of the things I love about it was unproducible what we had written for the big finale of
Mm-hmm.
season 1, and so what we did instead was we took that and we moved it to the second season, what we had in there, and now it plays out in some form or another through the course of second season.
Right.
But we were able to take that episode 8 we have and really expand it out into 2 really fleshed out episodes. We were able to add more of the Kim Barons in, and sort of
Mm-hmm.
more kind of lore of the Undercity that we hadn't really gotten to touch on yet. So I think it was really great to be able to tell I felt it made it a much more character driven story and a much more character
Yeah,
driven end,
absolutely.
to be able to have the time to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
then it took what we had made as this finale episode, and we get to tell that story again with much more care and detail over the course of a whole nother season. So it's not often that you get to know ahead of time, like, oh, we can take a lot more time. Sometimes you're just like, we don't know if we're going to tell more story.
Right.
We don't want to disappoint people, so let's just tell as much as we
Just
can in the
fill
first
it in,
season.
finish it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but we had the luxury of knowing we had a season 2, partway through writing season 1, so we were able to make choices like that to really, I think, sort of expand the world in a really fulfilling way.
All right, so I have a couple of Severance questions here. This one's brand new. I just, finished watching it. I did watch episode 5 again last night. I think it's 5 that you wrote. No, 6.
6. Yeah.
6. I did watch 6. Okay, so question. And in general, how does a mystery, writing a mystery series differ from the other? Like, do you guys all know? Does every writer know where you're going? Like, what's the secret of the room? Like, you have all that in your head, and you're just keeping it from us, or is
Yes.
that? Do they
Yes,
keep
we do.
mysteries from you?
Yeah. So we spent so much time talking about what Lumen is actually doing in the basement there, what they're doing on the Severance floor, what the macrodata refiners are doing, what are the scary numbers? What happens in the elevator when you go down? What is Lumen's endgame 5 seasons from now if they could have their way? We talked about all of that, and it's very fun. Like, Severance was just such a fun show because it was so bizarre and unique and wacky, and like the ideas you could come up with were just like zany and fun. So yeah, we knew all that. For example, we knew that Mark's wife Gemma was alive from the very beginning.
I'm telling you, I yelled at the TV. I saw that photo and I yelled at the TV.
Day one in the writer's room, we knew that was going to happen. We talked about why she made that choice, how they covered it up, what blah, blah, blah. We talk about what's going on with her, why she's only an innie, why she doesn't have an outie, all that stuff.
I never even noticed that. Oh my gosh,
it's not a spoiler because you see her go down the elevator and not up when she thinks she's leaving.
Oh my god.
So, we knew all of that, and then it's a matter of like, how do you step this out for the audience so that it's satisfying for them? When do you let the audience know versus when do you let the characters know? For example, again with Gemma, we let the audience know she was still alive before we let Mark know she was alive. So that allowed the audience to be on the inside and be like, oh my God, when's Mark going to find out? When's Mark going to find out? and that gave us a lot of a couple of episodes there of like, they're
they're right next to each other.
They're right next to each other. But there was also plenty of episodes where they were together where we knew that secret, but our audience didn't know that secret.
Yeah, the dynamic between the two, like,
yeah.
So kind of leading into my next question about each character having multiple personalities, right? 2 distinct lives. How does that raise the difficulty? Like, how do you talk to an actor and be like, yeah, she's your wife. You kind of feel something, but you don't know it. Like, what is that whole designing the characters and getting people to act? How does that work? Like, I just can't.
Well, we talked a lot about like, what does the severance chip actually sever? It severs memories for sure. Like, that was the conceit, but we are more than our memories. We're our bodies, we're our emotions, we're our hormones. Is there some sort of emotional memory there that he can feel or access? Beyond just physical memories. And so that was a fun thing that we played with a bunch of characters. Irving is trying to tap into those memories through painting and stuff. So I think that is sort of just a fun freedom. Like, what is your core self? What is your nature self versus what is your nurture self that then you lose when you don't have those memories anymore. And I think that there's just a lot of really fun stuff. There's a lot more about Irving that hopefully, they'll get into in second season but you kind of saw there that he has like a military history and he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist. But
was that his dad's stuff? there was a old photo with the old Navy uniform. That was his dad, right?
Um,
Oh,
I'm not going to say
okay.
things
That's
that may
fine.
or may not
Right. Okay.
spoil things for the future. Um,
Oh.
again, I was involved with this show 3 years ago, and we had a ton of
Right.
ideas, and I don't know how many of them are going to carry on or not. So,
Okay. So
um,
was there something that shocked you when you finally got to see the whole thing?
the
Because
waffle
like
party.
the waffle party. Oh my god. Yes.
We have always had a waffle party in our show, but they really took it to the next level. And the way they envisioned the, like, I think they called it the Hall of Perpetuity, or the
Mm-hmm.
the wax figures and stuff, was also a whole new revelation for us. So
So, question: What we have season 2 coming up of both of these series. So, is there any like little hints? I mean, I kind of got a little thing out of you about Echo from Arcane. Any other hints that you can drop to us? Now, obviously, you definitely can't tell us what's happening. I don't want you to tell me what's happening because I want to be I'm so excited and I'm so interested in both these stories. But anything you can drop.
well, so I'm not involved in Severance season 2. All I know is what we talked about in Severance season
Mhm.
1, and hopefully they carry some of those dope cool ideas we had in season 1 and that we set up in season 1 into season 2, and you get to see some, way cool reveals, like what happens when you go down that elevator.
Right.
That's going to be a dope reveal, and
Mhm.
and I think a little bit more about Miss Cobell and all of this stuff. I think there's just a lot to mine there that we had planned. One thing that I can talk about, because I don't know if they're doing it or not,
Right.
but we had this idea that, what if there were multiple timelines? Right now there's just two.
Oh.
It just divides in two.
Right. Yeah.
But what if you had five timelines? What if you had a traffic timeline, and then that person only just drove and you didn't have to sit in traffic anymore? What about the bathroom timeline? What if, there's just so many. We just got to think of so many crazy
Hmm.
things. What if there's a secret timeline that you don't know about? Like,
That.
there's just so many fun potential for that idea that, who knows what they'll and when and how they'll mine into it. But I just think that Severance has so much potential to be fun, and I love Dan so much, the creator, that I know he's going to come up with something dope.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. I don't want to be the traffic guy though. Nobody wants
Yeah,
to be the
nobody
traffic guy.
does, right?
So
um
what are you doing? What's your next thing? What
uh
that you can talk about? Obviously, sometimes
so
you're under.
yeah, I mean, who knows what we're allowed to talk about and not talk about anymore. I know that for Arcane season 2, everyone's working really, really hard to make that
Mhm.
as special as season 1. I can't tell you anything at all about how deep into production we are. I can't tell you anything at all
Mhm.
about when it's going to come out or
I
what
get
it's
it.
going to be, other than everybody loves it as much as our audience does, and we're doing our best. Um, and then for the past 5 months, I've been working on the new Godzilla show for Apple
Oh,
TV.
cool.
So when that comes out next year, you'll get to see another show that I worked on,
I can't wait.
um, which I'm very proud of. I got to write episode 5, which was, um, again, I felt like I got to do something that spoke uniquely to me,
Hmm.
and put a lot of myself into that episode. So I'm excited for that. And then, coming up this summer, I sold a TV show to to Amazon. So I'm going to be writing the
Congratulations.
pilot for that.
Wow. That sounds like a huge step going from staff
Yeah, it's
writer
it's been
to
awesome.
selling your
It's
own
an
thing,
original idea too, which proves that not everything has to be from IP.
right?
So
Well, congratulations. That's an amazing accomplishment. Um, and my last question for you, a fun thing to bring us out with is, what is your comfort story? Like, is there a show or a movie or a book that you just when you just want to relax and just love over and over? What story is that for you?
I can read the book Contact at any point in my life over and
Wow.
over again. I'm a
only seen the
huge
movie.
Carl
It's a great
Sagan
movie.
fan, so and I think that's like sort of the epitome of somebody who knows so much about science and is able to use science in a creative, fun, world-building way that also feels real and also tackles questions of the universe. But then it's also just a really well-told story from a female perspective. And I think everything he's done in that book is just so utterly unique and well done, and it still holds up. Every time I read it, it holds up for me even more. So
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming on and talking to me. I was so excited for this interview, and just I love your work, and I'm excited for everything to see that comes after, and I'm excited for season 2 of all of this wonderful stuff that I'm into. And again, everybody, Amanda Overton, great writer, producer, and thank you once again for joining us here on the Heroes Peak.
yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. It was really fun.
You have a great day, Amanda. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. And again, we want to thank Amanda Overton for coming and joining us. And we are about to talk about one of the best written, mind bending television shows that we've seen in a long time. This thing just perfectly planned out to get you involved and then leave you hanging at the end of the season. This is Apple TV Plus. Plus is Severance. And if you have not watched this, high recommend you go watch it. We're going to be doing some spoilers. We're not really going to be breaking things down scene by scene or any kind of that. That there's all sorts of other places to find that. We're just going to give our review, and I'm going to go through some of the characters. We're going to talk about some of the cool locations and just how we feel about this show. Because man, it was a shocker that I liked it as much as I did. I had pretty limited expectations going in. It was going to be a funky little office sci-fi thing, and boy, did it prove me wrong. Keith, I'm going to start with. Oh, actually, before we start there, let's do this. Severance, thriller, mystery, sci-fi, created by Dan Erickson, according to IMDb. He's got no other credits on IMDb. Wow. This is his only credit. Wow. Interesting. Directed by Ben Stiller and Aoife McCardle. Now, Ben Stiller, I'm finding out, I love his directing style.
Yeah, he's done a lot of directing
so
work.
many movies
a lot of directing,
that
producing
I enjoy
stuff,
watching. And a whole writer's room worth of writers and producers, including Amanda Overton, which we just had the pleasure of talking to.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
Whew. So, Keith, we were talking about this offline. What did you think of this show, Severance? Just like, what were you expecting going into it, and where are you coming out?
I think I'm very similar to where you were at with it. Like, I was like, okay, it looks like an office sci-fi. Like, okay, I just wanted to see I was just hoping that it was interesting content. Something interesting. Cool. I like the way it started off. Everything it got me from the beginning. But I'm thinking it's a certain type of show, and it's good being this show. Like it's a good version of this particular show that I'm setting my mind up for, and then it just turns into like a whole different, better show. like the mystery thriller part, like because after the first like couple episodes, I'm wondering like, yo, okay. So now I'm seeing there's a conflict between the work self and the real life self, but neither one of them can communicate with each other. I'm wondering what's going to be the thing, like what vehicle are they going to use to get. And it was brilliant how they did it. It was brilliant how they showed the chick And really she was a reflection of who she was in real life, because she was her real life self is very driven. She was so good at even like all the different ways she tried to communicate with her outside self, and then finally just well, I'm killing us then. Like, I'm just gonna kill us.
Yeah, like she was so from the get-go, and you're like, how did she even end up here? And you finally get that at the end, but like she was so against being there at all times, and you're like, why
Yeah,
are they
like, just
holding on
let
to
her
this person?
go. Like,
Why are
why are
they so
you
dead
holding
set and
on to
leaving
her?
her?
What
Right?
is it?
Especially with the PD thing where you're like, oh, he's fired, he's gone, and you're like, okay, then what's up with this? So
Oh man, it's
great.
awesome. And the writing, nothing was rushed. Like, I felt like you were carried along the story very well. Like, things progressed at a understandable kind of rate to how they were writing. I Man, I couldn't even. This show will probably get my highest rating in a while.
It's really interesting, Keith, that you said that the writing, nothing felt forced or overly sped up, or everything had time. Because one thing Amanda told me in the interview was that they had 10 episodes initially, and then because of the pandemic they had to drop to 9. So they literally had one less episode to tell the story on. But I could not tell me at any
You
point
could,
that
yeah,
this was not the initial plan, because it just felt, we've seen stuff that lose episodes, and
Right.
you can tell they rushed the hell out of the ending.
and I
That's
still
Yeah.
want to know what it
here.
is that they were doing. We
With the
still don't know what
computer,
they were
the data
doing.
input that they're
I
doing,
saw
yeah.
We still don't know what they were doing.
I saw a breakdown of that the masks they were wearing related specifically to the founders. As to why it happened, I don't know. I have no clue who decided that the Waffle Party was a
No,
Oh, I thought Keith. No,
weird
no,
well, I
Keith
thought
meant
that
the
all
actual
those things
work
highway.
that
were
they're
trying
doing in
to
the computer.
emulate like
Oh, maybe not.
office party activities, like office kind of like
Right.
activities, and them trying to simulate it
Right.
in this, like, their office life. Like,
See, but
so I don't.
I have a
At
feeling.
least that's what I took it
Mhm.
as.
See, I have a feeling that whole.
But when I say we still don't know what they do, I don't. I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about for
Oh,
actual
Yeah,
work. Like, we
that
don't know.
computer
I
data
don't know
stuff
what
that
they
they're
were
doing.
doing.
I have a feeling that
Okay.
that
And
whole
and
all
they
that work is just. I have a feeling this whole thing is just for an experiment to see if Severance is viable. In
Oh my
outs-
god, it's like
yeah,
Lost, watching the hatch. People in the hatch for
right.
another hatch.
This isn't the only thing, though. Don't forget, we have Christopher Walken's division making all kinds of weird stuff, right? That we have no clue what they're doing it for. Plus, hang on,
okay.
just and we have the
So
goat.
that's the
What the hell are the goats for?
yeah. Okay, so they
Right.
work in the macro refinement division. They don't know what they do. They don't know why they do it, but they accomplish a task, and if they accomplish enough of them, they
It's
get
like Lost,
parties, they
man. The
get
other
They
hatch.
get the
special
office.
treats.
Yeah, the office treatment.
The the optics
Yeah.
and design division
The
is the
underwater
Christopher
hatch.
Walken's character division. And they have some weird choices over there where we find out they had a bunch
Hmm.
of giant like 3D printers, and someone mentioned that they were printing stuff that was dangerous like a week ago, but now they're doing like watering cans. And then they had like these weird cards that showed like how to attack or hurt somebody. Like,
Yeah, I
do you guys
forget what it
remember the
was,
weird
but
little
the
Yeah.
one guy hit it in the
cards?
toilet. Yeah.
It was like a flash card.
Hmm.
Right, yeah. But that hiding that thing sparked a whole different thing. Anyway, all right. So, James, I'm going to give you a shot
I
to
won't
talk
be as long
about the
winded.
basics
Keith kind of,
here.
yeah, Keith kind of took most of the thunder out of there. That's a great show. I think I went in watching it from the point of view of the traditional cubicle guy, which I have been for many, many, a couple decades now. Go to work, you punch in, you punch out, and then when you leave, you're a different person. The person I was at work is a totally different person than I am when I'm not at work. So, but I knew there was some sort of a sci-fi element, so that intrigued me as well. And then the next show, some weird things started happening at the office space, and I'm like, oh, just like Keith was like, I was like, wow, that's interesting. What's going on over here? And then by the third episode, you get to meet more of the outside element and what's happening there. Ooh, another mystery, which is why I keep connecting it to Lost. I know it's two totally different shows,
But there
but I like how
I
each
understand.
show
there is
progresses
so much
and
going
creates.
on. There's so much to break down.
It gives me something new
Yeah.
that I didn't think that I was interested in, and I was hooked. So by the time we get to these last two episodes, I was so emotionally invested that almost every little moment, like when they're all running through the corridor, they had a little plan, and you're like, oh shit, is this gonna work? Is this gonna? Are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? And like,
Right.
dude, there's so many moments in the show. I'm not gonna be long winded, but by the time we got to the finale, I felt like exhausted emotionally, mentally, and I was like, man, this can't be the way it ends.
Mm.
This was too short. We needed more. Um, that's really it. This is probably, I want to say, probably the best show I've watched in the last 12 months. TV show.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna add a
All right,
couple
Mike.
things. So one, credit to Ben Stiller. He does know how to do dark comedy. He directed The Cable Guy. Remember that one with Jim Carrey? That was really dark and twisted. He does.
Mystery Men.
Also knows how to do the social commentary, like Tropic Thunder. You know, uh, that kind of.
I'm a dude. This guy's a dude.
Huh?
Dude.
Oh yeah.
No,
And
RDJ's joke.
so his directorial take on the office setting and kind of keeping it bland and dark and creepy. He was really good at that. And a lot of the characters, like, yeah, I agree with you guys. Like, this show is fantastic, and I felt so bad for, like, Irving, John Turturro's character, when he was flipped out in the real world and he went to visit Christopher Walken to find out he was married or whatever, and the one dude wanting to find out about his son, and the whole tension
That
of
was
him
deep.
holding the knobs so that they could be out there, and the one guy trying to break in with his saw, and I was like, oh man, this is whew, getting exciting. So yeah, fantastic show, and I'm so looking forward to that next season, man.
Even when what's his
Yo,
name knew when he knew that the lady from the warehouse was also the one in the house, and he was trying to pretend that he was the Audi version of himself, and he's walking around the party.
Oh, and he screwed up
Dude,
and
it
called her
was
the
like,
wrong name, and I was like,
he
Oh
called her the
god.
wrong
no.
name. He
yes,
called her the wrong
Good
name. That's
name.
how she
Yep.
knew.
And then even though she was fired, she was like, I'll fix it
Dude,
myself.
they
And then she
do
took
some
off to try and stop them, right?
the camera work in this show is spectacular because they do a great job of changing focal points and moving you around and
And if
making
you
you
think about it, what
uncomfortable.
was it for the most part? It was a single room with a one cubicle with a four-way cubicle,
Mm-hmm.
nothing on the walls,
Yeah,
and the
that room is
hallways were
creepy.
pretty much the
It's
same.
just
Like it
center.
was
yeah.
it was the drama of how they shot things, like that really made those spaces look even more interesting.
Let's we'll do a quick rundown of some of the characters. You guys tell me if there's something you want to talk about. So we start with our star Mark. Um, Mark is Adam Scott. Adam Scott's doing good work here. I also liked him in
Oh, he's from
Walter
Parks and Rec.
Mitty,
Yeah.
the movie, one of my
Yeah,
favorite movies
Parks
of
and
the
Rec
last
was the
decade,
Mm-hmm.
starting.
from Parks and Recreation. He plays our main character. You follow him in and out. Uh, Kind of the focal point outside of Helly. Him and Helly are probably co anchors here. He's got a weird family. His family, the whole family dynamic. What did you
The
guys think of that?
brother-in-law to
Because that
me,
was
I thought
probably the
was
thing
just
that got
comic
most
relief in the
interesting.
beginning.
Definitely
I didn't
comic
think
Yeah, but
relief
you
in the
find
I
that
didn't
beginning.
think
he's
he
a
had
little
much
smarter
purpose.
than they let on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, his book thing making a huge impact later in the season.
For me, Chris, it was more basic. Like I said in the beginning, I was trying to connect myself with his character as a protagonist in a work environment. Like I've been that guy, come in, kind of, dry, go about your business. You're a section leader, you're a group leader. You're trying to like, make the office a little more bright, but you're not really trying that. So to me, even before we got to know his outside world, I was already connecting with his any. That's why I was following him that episode more so than anyone else.
And then probably one of the top three shockers of the series was when he finally put, after ripping his wife's dead wife's picture up, he puts the tapes on it, and then he moves his thumb, and then I screamed at the TV when I was like, "You fuckers!" Like,
I'm just wondering where the hell they keep her.
seriously. And that's where we can talk about kind of John Turturro's character as well. Is there seems to be this elevator that only goes down. Also, she never leaves, and Mark knows she was in an accident, but yet here she is there.
Yeah,
like
but
there's
did they
so
force
many
her to
questions
retire?
about can
They
she
they
leave?
fired her.
Episode?
They fired her, right?
They fired her. So and then she goes in the elevator, it goes down,
Right,
or goes somewhere. It doesn't go.
No, because she can't go out in the real world. So
right. It just goes down. All right. What do you guys think of Helly? Helly was she's the one who got me through the first like 3 episodes. Her questioning the environment she was in was really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's
probably my favorite part of this.
I think for me, when she got to the point where she tried to kill herself, it was like yeah.
I couldn't believe
I was
she
kind of
actually
turned
tried
off
to
by
kill
that. I was
herself.
like, that's
It's not what I was expecting. But also made perfect sense though.
Well, then come to find out who she is, at the end, that she's actually part of the.
Yeah, I mean, after only being there for 3-4 days, and she already was suicidal to me. I was like, oh.
I think it might have been more than 3-4 days at that point.
Yeah, it could have been.
This was like episode.
I think
3.
how time was.
Yeah, because she had to go through a recovery.
An exaggeration.
Okay, she definitely was there. She was the Neo. She was definitely a new hire per se compared to the other 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what was a great scene for me was the first. The first day, and she kept. She was with Milchek, and she kept running to the stairs, and she kept going to the door and coming right back and running through. And you're like, what the hell's going on? And then a few episodes later, they show you exactly how she flips back, and then she's talking to somebody, and the guy's saying, "Oh, you just left, so you'll want to go back in." So, man,
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, her the way they wrote her really informed you as a viewer of what was going on and what are the dangers of this place that you're working in. That was a really, really great way to really get you going. Oh shit, you don't remember sleeping. You don't remember eating. You don't remember being home. So literally, when you're here, it feels like you've always been here.
Yeah, the other oh shit moment for me was when they killed the head of security guy.
Yeah.
When he was
meeting
up with the. Yeah.
That was a surprise.
I come out this series with an armload of questions that I need answers to. The wife being the counselor, that blew my mind.
What about the guy who was able to crack the chip himself, reintegrate, who was on the run?
But I wonder what it was that happened. Well, she explained about the
organization that.
Yeah, she was saying that he left. He ran away before the rest of the treatment.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then you're not fully integrated, and your brain gets messed up, right?
Okay, what do we think of John Turturro's Irving?
So I loved his when he was at home doing the artwork. I thought that was fascinating as well, because he kind of it meant to me like he had glimpses of the office, but everything was just dark, right, and shadowed.
It was dark.
So he knew there was a hallway and a door.
Yeah, it was as dark as that hallway.
That's all he knew, and it was all black. And I love that. And he was always blasting the heavy metal, right, when he was painting. So.
Mike's favorite movie.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's good stuff. So, and his character being in love with the company on the inside was so interesting. When you saw him on the outside and he opens the chest and you
Right.
see that he's been investigating this company. And then of the main four, there's Dylan. So he's the comic relief. He's got some great one-liners through those first couple, and then
His
once
son.
he finds out
Yeah.
he's got a family, once he's his curiosity about the outside
Yes.
turns
Yeah.
him completely
Yeah, he goes
around
through
from
this
what he
emotional
was
arc, and I
initially.
like it. Yeah.
And it's a fascinating character.
He's no longer. It's no longer just I'm here 9 to 5. I'm gonna find these numbers. I'm gonna get my.
I thought it was.
What is it that the little plaques they give out, and
With the
Yeah,
thumb,
yeah, little
finger
plaque.
trap.
I thought it was very heroic of him to be the
Yeah,
one
when
to
he-
sacrifice to stay behind and give the others the opportunity
Yeah.
to do what they had to do.
Mhm.
Like he stood behind. That was and knowing that he had
Because
a son that he
he
wanted to
already
meet.
saw.
Yeah,
They didn't.
Right.
that was deep though. I think that was deep.
He already saw. Although somebody with longer arms should have stayed, but yeah.
Yeah, that's we didn't talk about that, but there's other characters that were engaged with Adam Scott's sister and brother-in-law. That when she's the pregnancy thing, when she went to that little combine, whatever it was for pregnancy, did you meet like
Oh,
that
yeah,
senator
that-
whose wife apparently was also
Yeah, that was
Severance?
weird too.
That whole interaction, like I had to watch the episode
so
twice.
apparently, so she didn't have
What
to
was that?
remember childbirth. So she didn't have to remember the
I had to
pain
watch
of
that episode
childbirth.
twice to even understand what was happening with her character. Like that was a whole other mystery. So to maybe realize Severance isn't just at this workplace; it's happening. Yeah, we heard about that. There's a law they're trying to pass, whatever. They're trying to fight the protest, but I thought it was localized to Lumen. I didn't realize it was actually already happening outside of Lumen to a pregnant lady who didn't want to experience a childbirth.
Well, I guess the whole Lumen thing, the whole thing with Helly is they want to make some good publicity of what it's like to be severed. And they're doing so that's why that senator was there
Yeah.
and his wife and everything. And so that I think that's going to be the main
Season 2.
mystery
Politics,
going in.
the government's behind this, blah blah blah.
Okay, all right. Why don't we do our grades? Unless anybody's grades and final thoughts.
I'm giving this an A plus.
So I'm gonna let Mike.
Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Mike.
All right,
A
James,
plus.
you go first.
I'm done. I want more. More.
All
Go
right,
ahead,
Mike.
A for me. Great first season. Great intro to characters, story, universe. I love it's got that. It's not action sci-fi. It's that drama sci-fi I've been waiting for. Twilight Zone-esque mystery, Alfred Hitchcock kind of story I've been wanting for so long. It's back. Thank goodness. Bring me more of this, Apple TV. Good job.
And Mythic Quest too.
Mm-hmm.
Give us that.
Absolutely.
A plus.
Keith.
A plus. And now I feel like the next season, my expectations for the next season may not be met. I don't think they're gonna there's no way.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with A plus because I was trying to think of anything I would take points off of, but it just kept surprising me. It kept shocking me, like things I just was not prepared for, and at no point did I. Because sometimes when you watch a story, you can sit there and go, "Yeah, I guess this will probably happen," or it might have been better to see this happen. But at no point could I sit down and think of anything more interesting or more weird than was already happening. And I want season 2 so badly.
And if you think about it,
it'll
it
be
was
interesting.
story driven.
Right.
It wasn't a bunch of CGI. It was a sci-fi with very little sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was a story driven. It was almost like we were being told like someone was reading a book to us. Like there was no actual sci-fi elements for real that you can point to.
That's why I was saying it reminded me of the Twilight Zone, because in the 50s, Rod Serling's
Yeah.
Twilight Zone, it's not like he had a huge budget for special effects or anything. So he had to tell a
your
great
brain will
story
fill in all the other
that kind of
stuff.
messed with your head, and you were like, "Whoa, what the hell just happened?"
So yeah, I think that's going to be. We're just hoping that they can
Hold the line.
hold this level. Just hold it steady, like man, just hold it steady. All right, well, that's our views on Severance.
Yes.
Everybody, go watch
Strongly
it.
recommend.
I think this is definitely our highest rated
probably.
television
Wow.
show we've watched as a group. Well, all right, everybody. Tell us what you're watching. Tell us what you thought of Severance, and tell us what you thought of Arcane, because you'll have watched an interview with the writer. All right, leave a comment.
Please.
Don't just text James. Mike, where can everybody find us to leave a comment and not?
So on the internet, we are at Hero Speak on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that bell in the corner to receive notifications, and leave a comment below and let us know what you think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get Severance so I don't remember doing the podcast.
Come on, dude.
I think my future plans.
Oh, I don't need Severance for that.
Fine. Severance from all the other stuff.
It would be a terrible podcast. I'd be like, I don't know if I watched anything. I don't remember watching anything all week. It wouldn't really work, would it? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You have a great week. We'll see you later.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.